If Joshua can get his confidence up and adjust a few things with his boxing, he could win the rematch with Usyk. As far as him needing a new trainer, which it looks like he is, I think that's a good call. I'm sure his trainer knows everything about boxing, but all during the fight, brilliant boxing, Joshua, brilliant control, brilliant all through the fight. You know, he loses the first 3 rounds, and the trainer's saying that. That shows the trainer knows his fighter doesn't have any confidence. So you may say that's a good thing what he was doing. No. This isn't a kid 9 years old in his first amateur fight, second or third, where you're encouraging him, trying to get him over his fear. This is a world champion. So it's time for Joshua to get a trainer to tell it like it is and tell him how to make adjustments during the fight, which Joshua can't do. I mean, come on, in the second Ruiz fight, they knew he was out of shape at weigh-ins, he didn't train. And you're going to move around lateral in the ring like Muhammad Ali for 12 rounds? The trainer can't say after 4 rounds with Joshua, hey, Joshua, you know, this guy's looking terrible. He didn't train. How about we try knocking his ass out? So yeah, Joshua's not going to adjust during a fight. He needs a trainer to tell it like it is. And I might put one example, or maybe 2. One in the pros, one in the amateur. So I had Nate. We were in our second pro fight, me as a trainer and with my fighter. He won his first fight. In the second round stoppage, he broke the guy's orbital bone. So this one kid is 1-1 or something like that. He overcame his draw and won that too. Not a bad fighter, had a lot of amateur. He was southpaw, he was cocky, he strolled by us when we got in the ring and bumped us and all that kind of good stuff. Very confident. So Nate's 5'6", this guy's about 5'8". Nate is a volume puncher in the amateurs, threw about 120 punches around. He's not a boxer. So the first 2 rounds, Nate's kind of boxing him, and yeah, I mean, he could have won the rounds, but it wasn't good enough for me. And you know, I had 4 rounds to decipher this and make a change. So he comes back to the corner, and I just chewed him out. I go, what are you doing? You're boxing this guy? A jab doesn't even work against a southpaw. Well, a jab can work, but you know, I was trying to get him to do something else. But it was funny when I said the jab doesn't work against the southpaw. My cut man Bear, who's been involved in boxing probably 60 years, was Joe Hip's cut guy for many fights. When I said, what are you doing? The jab doesn't even work. Bear goes, yeah. So anyway, I go, Nate, work what we worked on in the gym. Slip his punch, get inside, the southpaw's liver's closer to you, you know, all the stuff we worked on. So I just chewed his ass out. So 15 seconds into the 3rd round, Nate drops him with a liver shot. And the guy gets up, they give him an 8 count. And about 2 minutes, 15 seconds, Nate has him on the ropes, just going interval on him, what we call interval. Every 15 seconds we go all out with my clock timer. So Nate won that fight, but we made an adjustment. He may have won it anyway, but you know, you can't go by these judges a lot of times. So one more in the amateurs, Andrew Murphy, White Lightning. There was a good show in Portland every year. It's a 2-day event and teams come from all over, even Canada. And he's in the 165-pound class. I guess there was just one guy for Saturday, and then he jumped in the light heavyweight Sunday. So he won both classes. But after the first round with this Canadian kid, he was pretty good. It was too close for me, and he's in close, White Lightning, and he's trying to punch overhand and close. And I go, So he comes back and I go, what are you doing? I go, you know, in close, go underneath, palms up. And what's funny, about 3 months before this, I jumped in the ring when he was sparring. He did the same thing and I showed him this. So anyway, he listened to me and he stopped the kid in the second round. So this is what a trainer does. I mean, well, in these two fights, brilliant boxing, Nate, or whatever, you know. So anyway, Lightning won 2 belts that day. That's pretty cool. Now, okay, we went through that, Joshua's mindset a little bit, his trainer, being a cheerleader, babying him on. Joshua doesn't need that. All right, some technique he needs to improve on, Joshua. His footwork, actually, even though he's not a boxer or whatnot, he's a big knockout guy. But his footwork has got to be as good as Usyk's going after Usyk. You got to have good footwork going after somebody. So this has got to stop. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. He's a split second too slow for Usyk. Rewatch it. Usyk, ball of his feet. He's not doing that. And when Roy Jones says he's got to use his legs, step back a little when Usyk feints him, then you know when Usyk feints, he's going to throw a punch. So that's the easiest way to get away. You don't have to or block or anything. You just step back. How are you going to step back when you're on your heel, fooling around with your heels all the time? You know. So you got to be just the ball of the front foot. And these fighters and trainers who say you got to be flat-footed for the power or whatever, I don't even get that. I'm coming off the ball of my foot when I throw that. I call it a 4-punch. That was all on the balls of my foot. I wasn't putting my weight back on the heels at all. So I don't get that when they say plant your feet. And I get what they mean, plant your feet like I was doing, but you're on the ball of your foot a little bit. So anyway, Joshua has got to stop this Frankenstein plotting. He's got to be able to keep up with Usyk, man. Frankenstein, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up some, it reminds me of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali used to say, before a big fight, Sonny Liston, these big guys, he used to watch horror movies of Frankenstein and the Mummy because they were so slow and plodding, you know, like Joshua. And he knew he could run circles around him like Usyk knows. So I'm going to put a little footwork, and I brought this up in Deontay Wilder's fight, of Jerry Quarry, Muhammad Ali won when Ali came back from his 3.5-year layoff. And you might say Ali's a boxer, of course he's going to be on his toes. Well, look at Jerry Quarry in this video I'm going to point out. He's a boxer puncher, basically. This is old school. You're not going to see that much heel toe. Split second slower. I can remember being in gyms, Newman's back in the day, and hearing a trainer yell at his fighter, "Off your heels." How many times do you hear that in gyms today? Yeah. All right. enough on the heel toe with Joshua. Now the jab. Joshua doesn't need to have his jab hand way here, way back here, so it has further to go and the sharp Usyk picks up on it. He needs to have that jab hand about a foot further than the right hand, out here. And like Roy Jones was saying, he's letting Usyk in too close. Well, yeah, if you're like this, a guy can get closer. If you have it out here like this, the guy's that's his range. He knows the bullet is now closer to him and coming to him. So he's not gonna get that close. So you can keep a guy off further and confuse him more with your jab to set Joshua's big right hand up, what they were talking about all during the fight, the big right hand. So that's a jab. I told you little adjustments and his mind. All right. He needs to throw a little more combinations instead of just one punch at a time or maybe a 1-2. So he has a pretty good, I call it a too low, a right hand to the stomach. He backs out every time. Most people do. I don't know why. I never taught my fighters that. So one time he threw the right hand to the stomach, landed pretty good, backed out and got hit by a 1-2 from Usyk, and Roy Jones pointed that out. So my gosh, when you boom, boom, boom. So, and you can set, if Joshua wants to set the too low up, jab first. Boom, boom, boom. Or you can just throw it off a guy if he's coming at you. But either way, I might show a video, a couple of my guys, Carlos and Andrew doing this in training years ago. But Joshua needs to do a little more than throw one shot at Usyk. A slick guy like that can usually get away from 1 or 2 shots, but the third and fourth one might be a little different. So now, when I was watching the fight, and this is what trainers are supposed to do, I noticed Usyk had really good head movement, didn't he? His initial move, other than when he's going like this, as most southpaws do in my southpaw video, you know, the right-hander throws the right hand, they slip it, and then counter. But most of the time when Usyk's here, his first initial move, and I mean it, I don't know what percent, I mean you could say 85, 90, it was like this. So if you know where a guy's going, that's why you come out and use your jab, see what they're doing with their head and whatnot. If you know where a guy's head's going, you can usually do something about it. Now, a lot of times Usyk, he knew you're kind of right in the way of a right hand a little bit, in line with the right hand. So Usyk knew to do this. You know, and he would do it if even a jab came, you know, step, and then he could come. But Joshua needs a 45 punch. So he could feint Usyk if he knows that initial move on Usyk's this way. Sometimes this hand isn't up. It might be here. Sometimes he moves like this. But I would try the head first. But either way, you can try the liver or head when he does this and see what could work. So you could feint a 45 punches in between an uppercut and a left hook. One of De La Hoya's favorite punches, and I did a video on this. So yeah, Usyk, boom, a 45. Even if he's got his hand up, the 45, you throw the 45, I should explain it a little better if you haven't seen the other video. It comes inside this arm. So a fighter here, even conventional, would come inside. If they're blocking hooks, have this glove up, you can come inside. Well, the same with Usyk. If he's like, you can still come inside and get that. His hands are up, you got the liver too. So that's one more thing. Usyk's initial move is this way first. One last thing, during the fight, the commentator asked Roy Jones, Joshua exclusively did heavy bag for this fight instead of the focus mitts. And Roy was right. He said, yeah, that's a good thing because you extend your arm on the heavy bag, you know. Instead of on punch mitts, the other guy doing all the work. I don't know how many, and I've got this recorded. I might do a video on this down the line, but I mean, the punch mitt stuff with these trainers, they're coming way out. They're throwing, you're supposed to catch with punch mitts. So this leads me to Emmanuel Stewart. He was training Klitschko for a big fight. I forget which fight it was. They exclusively did punch mitts, which is really good. You can get a guy sharp, throw quicker punches, you can counter him if he's dropping his hands, you can do a lot other than hitting the heavy bag. And Emmanuel Stewart said they did so much of this that he worked with Klitschko. Emmanuel Stewart lost 25 pounds. So I'd get a guy that can do punch mitts the right way, and that's all I do with Joshua. And I've said this years ago, no weight training, not even push-ups for Joshua, none of that stuff. And for that heel toe, I watched a video. Joshua gets in a sand pit when he does the shadow boxing. I guess he figures it would work him more or whatever, but I'm not sure how you can be on the balls of your feet in a sand pit. I tell you what, I would cut the heel of his front boxing boot out. So when he's plodding and sparring or shadow boxing around the gym, he knows he's planting that heel on the canvas in the boxing ring. So that's about all I got on this. First thing he needs is a trainer, not to be the nice guy with him. Start telling it like it is. Make changes during the fight. But it's going to be tough. All right, that's about all I got. Thanks for watching. Till next time.